Hi, and welcome to the top 3 Scrum changes you might not know about in 5 minutes. Scrum has become a universally recognized agile framework for software delivery that helps teams and organizations generate value. Believe it or not, Scrum is now 26 years old. It was first presented in Austin, Texas in 1995. The Scrum Guide itself was published for the first time in 2009. And because embracing change is at the core of Agile, Scrum has also gone through its own evolution. The latest version of the Scrum Guide is from November 2020, and it is its sixth revision. Do you know that commitment, grooming, or the development team are no longer terms used within the Scrum Guide? A forecast replaces commitment. Commitment has been removed from the Scrum Guide in its first revision in 2011 and replaced by a forecast. The Scrum teams do not commit to completing the work planned during a sprint planning event. The Scrum team creates a forecast of work it believes will be done, but the forecast will change as more becomes known throughout the sprint. The new name reserves the potential for changes during the sprint, and the company should empower the team to make these changes as long as they still lead to achieving the sprint goal. If the sprint goal itself becomes obsolete, it is prerogative of the product owner to cancel the sprint. Commitment led people to believe that the Scrum team was supposed to lock down the sprint scope, and no one should be allowed to change anything. That is not true for Agile nor Scrum. Remember the second principle behind the Agile Manifesto. Welcome changing requirements, even late in development. Agile processes harness change for the customer's competitive advantage. The Scrum Guide has this to say about forecast. Selecting how much can be completed within a sprint may be challenging. However, the more the developers know about their past performance, their upcoming capacity, and their definition of done, the more confident they will be in their sprint forecasts. Various practices exist to forecast progress, like burn downs, burn ups, or cumulative flow. While proving useful, these do not replace the importance of empirism. In complex environment, what will happen is unknown. Only what has already happened may be used for forward-looking decision-making. Note that the forecast is not an official Scrum artifact, but it is always mentioned in the context of other things related to sprint and sprint planning. Grooming is now refinement. In 2013, grooming was changed into refinement. The product backlog is refined rather than groomed. The Scrum Guide defines backlog refinement this way. Product backlog refinement is the act of breaking down and further defining product backlog items into smaller, more precise items. This is an ongoing activity to add details, such as a description, order, and size. Attributes often vary with the domain of work. Notice that refinement is not actually an event in Scrum. Instead, the Scrum Guide says that the product backlog is refined as needed during the sprint. This is important because it is still a common practice for the Scrum teams to hold a long meeting for the product backlog refinement. Still, the best practice is for refinement to be an ongoing activity throughout the sprint. No development team, there is only the Scrum team. The latest 2020 revision of the Scrum Guide removed the development team, and instead it presents the Scrum team as one unified entity focused on one product. The change was made to remove a feeling that the development team is a sub-team within the Scrum team. There is now just one Scrum team focused on the same objective with 3 different sets of accountabilities: product owner, Scrum Master, and developers. The same revision of the Scrum Guide also introduced a change from self-organizing to self-managing team. Scrum teams are cross-functional, meaning the members have all the skills necessary to create value for each sprint. The product owner, Scrum Master, and the developers internally decide who does what, when, and how. This is key for the Scrum pillar of adaptation. Adaptation becomes more difficult when the people involved are not empowered or self-managing. A Scrum team is expected to adapt the moment it learns anything new through inspection. If you like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. It helps in validating the value that the video provides and ensures more amazing content in the future. Tell me in the comment about your own experience with implementing forecast, refinement, and the Scrum team principles in your organizations. Do you feel like your team has been empowered to be self-managing?